Welcome back with us. We have one of the most anticipated electric cars in the country. This is the Hyundai Creta, and the reason why this is anticipated is because Creta has been a very big brand name in India. Hyundai has sold over 11 lakh Creta since the last 10 years, and that's a phenomenal number considering the price bracket that car belonged to. It's not a 5 lakh or 10 lakh rupee car. The median price, the average price of the Creta is probably around 20 lakh rupees. So let's quickly get into this review, and I'll try to focus more on how this car is different and what are the USPs of this car compared to say Creta or something, instead of boring with smaller finer details. So starting off with, this car is longer by 10 mm and this is taller by 20 mm compared to Creta, and the ground clearance also increased, and that's why this has translated to an overall increase in height. The GC is now 200 millimeters. Speaking of the design language, you get the same beautiful design element of the Creta. You have the LED headlamps, LED fog lamps, everything were there, but you also get level 2 ADAS, and this level 2 ADAS is both camera and radar based, which means that this is going to be very nice and precise. You have these nice aero alloys. Unlike the normal Creta's alloys, these are 17-inch aero alloys, which kind of help you in improving the aerodynamics of the car, and they are better in terms of giving out that extra. Every kilometer of range counts in EVs, and they help in giving out that range. You have 360-degree camera here. You have the roof rails which are not functional, and you get a 22-liter trunk in this car, which will help you store some smaller items which are not going to be very big. So as we move inside the Creta Electric, I'll be focusing on the changes that are there in this car and not everything in detail which is similar to the Creta. First thing is, you have something called as in-car payment here. There are 1150 charging points which are set by Hyundai, and if you charge in those charging points, you can pay directly without using your phone, directly from the car itself. This is very cool, and this is the first time that something like this has come to India. And then you have the console here. Although the buttons look similar, there are two changes. Number one is, these are not physical buttons, these are touch sensitive buttons. And then secondly, there is a driver only AC mode, which means that only the driver gets the AC blower and the chilling effect. This is done to enhance the range. For example, you are the only one person traveling, and we have seen that the AC generally everywhere, front, rear, and this kind of kills the range by a decent margin, and Hyundai wants to increase the range as much as possible. That's why they given a driver only mode here. And then you have the slightly different steering wheel here. In fact, it's a new steering wheel, and there are 4 dots here, not the H logo. That's because 4 dots represent H in Morse code, which is nothing but the logo of Hyundai in italics. And then another change here is, where is the drive mode selector? Hyundai has neatly placed that here, right side of the steering wheel, and this is the drive mode selector. From drive, neutral, reverse, park, whatever you want, you can do it. And a couple of other things remain similar to the normal Creta, like you have the same panoramic sunroof, you have the auto dimming IRVM, you have electric parking brake, you have 360-degree camera, you have different types of charging options like the Type-C charger, 12-volt charger, USB charger, and of course the wireless charger. And another thing that is kind of different here is, Creta gets just like the single driver's electric seat, but this Creta Electric gets both driver and co-driver electric seats. Both the front seats gets ventilation, and not just that, the driver now gets memory functions in the Creta Electric, which is missing in the Creta. Of course, we will make a separate video to have a comparison of these two cars, but just letting you know what are the key highlights of this Creta Electric. And then the magnetic pad from the Alcazar is of course retained right here. Overall, Hyundai decided, why fix something that is not broken, and that's why they have not touched anything that looked good, but this kind of does the job. And if I really miss one thing, that is the presence of wireless Android and Apple CarPlay, which is a slight disappointment, and we have seen that none of the Hyundai cars in India get them. The cars like the Tucson, globally the newer generation, the latest generation of Tucson get them, but we do not get that in India. And then couple of cup holders here, and there is a storage space for you to actually stuff in your bag or whatever you want. So once you move to the rear of the Creta Electric, first thing that you realize is you have a mini dining table here, and you can also have your juice wrapped right here, so that you can have a 3-course meal on the move, or you can either choose to have your meal or work directly from the table. Here you have rear AC vents, couple of Type-C chargers. So there's something called as V2L, vehicle to load. What happens here is, using the power socket here, you can charge your appliance, make a juice. In fact, my friends went overboard and they actually projected a movie from the V12 function of the Ioniq 5, and sometimes that gets very helpful. But if I have to talk about the biggest addition of any feature here, that is the boss mode, which you have seen in cars like Safari and all that. You can control the front seat directly from the buttons here, which I think is a very good move. For example, if nobody is sitting in the front, then the driver will have to get down all the time and do that. You can do that directly from here, and of course even the left seat gets a proper tray. So yes, Hyundai also mentions that you have rear sun blinds here, which are going to be pretty helpful, along with 8-speaker Bose music system. And trust me on this, we have always believed that every car is tuned in a specific way when it comes to music system, and the music system clarity of this car is absolutely mind blowing. I would rate it a good 8.5 out of 10, definitely not 10 on 10. There are other better cars that deserve the number, but it is still better than cars like Kia Carnival. So speaking of the boot capacity, the same 433 liters of boot capacity gets retained here in the Creta Electric. You have the rear wiper, shark fin antenna, spoiler, connected LED tail lamp, which are there in the normal Creta as well. So let's not get too much into that. So speaking of the most important, the most crucial thing in an EV, that is the range. This car can give you range up to 473 kilometers, and this has two battery packs. One is the smaller one, which is a 42 kilowatt hour battery, and then other one is the 52.4 kilowatt hour battery. So this is where you charge the Hyundai Creta from. Now the charging time is very interesting, because if you charge it at your house, this should be charged in less than 5 hours, around 4 hours, 44 minutes or 45 minutes. That is for the proper 10 to 100% charge. But if you use a DC charger, you can charge from 10 to 80% in just under 39 minutes, which is fantastic considering the charging time that this car has. And also given the fact that the battery is not very big, this charging time is kind of achievable for Hyundai. So speaking of the driving dynamics of the Creta Electric, first things first, this gets a 51.4 kilowatt hour battery pack, and the power figures stand at 171 bhp and 255 newton meters of torque, and 0 to 100 timing is just 7.9 seconds. And trust me on this, you have to drive it to believe it. The acceleration is super duper brisk. It's very brisk, and especially the overtaking maneuvers are going to be super duper helpful with that instantaneous torque that you get from the electric motor. So the range of this car is 473 kilometers again, which is a claimed range, and real world testing is something that will take some time to understand what exactly is the range that this car is going to give. Now this car gets an electric power steering, and the steering maneuvers are going to be very easy because of that. As you can see, we are just taking a U-turn, and the turning radius is quite short, and this makes driving not just on highway but driving on the city roads also quite easy. And speaking of other factors like the braking power, the car is powered by 4 solid disc brakes, and the stopping power is genuinely nice from them. Like I said earlier, Hyundai has said that why fix something that is not broken, and that's why all the good bits of Creta are retained here in the Creta Electric. I really wish that we got into wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, because fiddling with wires every time is not something that you want to do in 2025. And another problem is when you connect your phone to the wire all the time, the phone's battery unnecessarily kind of heats up, it gets overcharged, and it creates a lot of issues later on. So I really wish we got wireless CarPlay. That would be super duper helpful. But then apart from that, nothing else to complain from the driving dynamics as well. In fact, this is probably the only electric car I would even remotely think of buying in case I'm not a big fan of EVs as such in terms of purchasing powers, but probably this car is something that I would give it a shot. And the visibility from the driver's seat is quite nice. You can see the bonnet end to end, left to right, completely from the driver's seat here. Again, thanks to the electric seats, they are very comfortable, making your driving experience really nice. And of course, you have paddle shifters here. Hyundai said that why miss all the fun, and the region modes can be controlled through the paddle shifters, which are right here on the steering wheel. Speaking of the ride and handling of the Creta Electric, the thing is, EVs generally do not have the most comfortable ride qualities, and compared to the normal ICE Creta, the difference is slightly lesser in terms of the way this car handles speed bumps. Go over a sharper pothole and you will realize that the bumps are translated inside the car, but smaller speed breakers should definitely be fine, not a problem as such. So that's about it from the drive of the Hyundai Creta Electric. Let us know in the comment section what do you feel about this car. Will you buy the petrol, diesel or the electric avatar of the most successful SUVs to be sold in India, with over 11 lakh units already sold? That is the ICE engine. Let's see what does the future hold for the electric avatar of this very capable car.